Sarah, Jen, thank you. There's Cheryl Pounder, Jamie McLennan, and Darren Dreger. The Stars have been playing so well in these playoffs collectively that Jason Robertson's 10-game goalless streak kind of flew under the radar, but not to him. He made it really clear before the game today that it was bothering him. And how does he respond, Dregs, with the game of his life?
Yeah, and look, I mean, he needed to be defended a little bit by Pete DeBoer, the head coach of the Dallas Stars, because the heat was starting to pick up around Jason Robertson. But there's also one key factor in this. Roope Hintz. He enters the series against the Oilers, playing healthy for the first time in a while, and he was significant in the first two goals that Jason Robertson scored in that second period. You're talking about a big man there in Roope Hintz. But you can tell that there's a weight off the shoulders of Jason Robertson as he collects his second. What a run by the Dallas Stars in that second period. And then this thing is a slick play by Jason Robertson. Now, Noodles is going to dive in here because there's some analysis required with how Stu Skinner played that. But that was a fake pass. And whatever hole Robertson saw, he took advantage of it and turned out to be a huge goal.
We always talk about the goals against. Now, saves that you make, I thought Stuart Skinner had a really nice night up until that game-winning goal. And when you break it down, yes, Robertson does a fantastic job of selling that there is a potential pass through the back door. Now, it's a missed assignment. Cody Ceci gets sucked up. Darnell Nurse wants to take away that backdoor play. But Robertson, with a little fake there, that gets Stuart Skinner to just come off the post slightly, off the hinge play, and Robertson powers that right off the backside into the back of the net. So we're all going to talk about Stuart Skinner's game, which you couldn't lay at his feet the first three goals. I thought the Edmonton Oilers were really poor defensively.
But how bad a mistake is that from a goalie perspective?
That's a tough mistake because the other guy at the other end hasn't made those mistakes. So it's a game of errors. That's a slight error that ended up costing a game-winning goal.
But we're not going to go back. This is not like the Vancouver series where this was the point where he was lifted for a couple of games, right?
No.
Good enough game, one bad mistake, go right back to him. The first period, this is the second straight game where the Oilers completely dominate the first and the Stars completely turn it around in the second. How?
Well, and it's interesting because the Edmonton Oilers, it almost took them 13 minutes to get a shot on net, and that's unacceptable. They were mismanaging the puck in their own zone, and it was creating turnovers. And guess what? When you're up against a potent offense like the Dallas Stars, they're going to find ways to make you pay. In 3 minutes and 33 seconds, it was a collapse where they were able to get those three goals. Of course, Robertson in and around the net, following up on a shot. He's got the blistering one. You mentioned Roope Hintz and how he has been excellent as well, and that confidence and familiarity. Wyatt Johnson, of course, but you have to manage the puck, and that is one of the biggest things about the game. You have to find ways to manage it and get it going north, because with the depth that the Dallas Stars have, you cannot give them that kind of momentum in a game.
Are we starting to gather post-game reaction from Edmonton? Let's hear from the Oilers captain, Connor McDavid.
Yeah, but probably a little worse. I thought, a real good start, obviously, and then, I'm not sure where those 10, 15 minutes come from, but it's as bad as it's been throughout the playoffs. Obviously give them a chance to get back in the game, and, will we come back tied after two and just don't find a way.
When it's like 2 or 3 minutes, is there any way to stem that tide so it doesn't extend into that long, what you said, 10, 12 minute kind of stretch?
Well, I mean, obviously that's what we're trying to do. The playoffs are throughout games are about momentum swings, and when you don't have it, you got to wrestle it back. And we obviously didn't do that for the better part of that second period.
How much is that like them pushing versus you guys maybe stopping certain things that were working for you?
I thought it was both. I thought they went up a couple levels and we went down a few levels, and obviously you see the difference.
What comes out of your game, Connor?
Well, I thought it was work. They like to play a long game, like a kind of a stretch game, and when they stretch it out, it's tough for us to be connected. And you see us kind of, outnumbered, kind of in different situations. I mean, they're obviously a great team and they're well coached, and when they get into that stretch game and they kind of get it going up and down the rink, it makes us look pretty not connected, I thought.
When you're playing the first period like you did, you have to bear down and make it 3 if we had the chance, make it 4 if we had the chance. Like, there's a couple of good chances you had to stretch that lead in that first.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're always trying to. You're trying to keep playing. We're not trying to. We don't go up by 2 and say let's just hold this all the way for the next 50 minutes. We're obviously trying to keep playing, and yeah, we let one get away there, obviously.
Frustrating because in the third you didn't really give up much. I think they only had 3 shots that they didn't get out.
Yeah, didn't give up much. We didn't get much either. It was pretty tight checking period. Obviously the margins are real small in this series, and pretty similar to last third period in game 2. Tight checking, they find a way to get one, and we don't.
Connor, you lost a game in Vancouver, game 1, that was kind of similar, but now that we're further along in the playoffs, does this kind of sting a little bit more?
They all sting. I mean, they all sting. Losing sucks, obviously, and series are short. And you only get a handful of games, and you never like to get. I'm not going to say we gave it away. They it was 40 minutes, and we were able to wrestle it back, but just don't find a way again.
But that second period, do you feel it slipping away, or is it almost like you're getting caught by surprise and it sneaks up on you?
Yeah, that's a good question, I guess. You can definitely feel their urgency, their desperation, their level go up, and we just didn't match it.
Shocking, that turnaround in the second. And McDavid, in usual understated way, says, yeah, we got off to a good start. That wasn't a good start. I mean, the way he started that hockey game, didn't you think this was going to be one of those McDavid 5-point tour de forces and they win 6-2?
No question, but that's why these teams are in the Western Conference Final too, right? They're so close and they're so good, and it's going to be a tight series, so you can have a game flip the way it did in one period, and that was the second period for the Dallas Stars. But James, you're right. I mean, Connor McDavid, they had everything going in the first period. He was full throttle. The Oilers were skating. McDavid was shooting the puck. Zach Hyman talked during the intermission about how they were skating, they were moving, they were going full throttle and generated the offense. When they made it 2-0, I think most of us thought, okay, this is the way this game is going to go. It's going to be one of those typical Connor McDavid games where he throws the team, as cliche as it sounds, on his back. He did that in the first. They just couldn't sustain it.
Well, and he really got speed underneath the puck as well. And anytime that Connor McDavid gets speed underneath the puck and can get to the middle of the ice, that he's going to be rush play. That is so effective for him. Yeah. But also the movement, everyone off of him. I thought that there was a ton of perimeter movement while he was driving the net. You saw bodies getting in the eyes of Ottinger, and they saw some backdoor play. But all of a sudden, that just kind of started to fizzle out as Dallas started to have the pulse of the second and stretch the zone.
He also hits a milestone, and I was waiting for someone to ask about it, and I was going to cringe if they asked, because he would roll his eyes and could care less about the milestone, but we do. Gets to 100 playoff points and becomes the 4th fastest player as far as games played to get there, and elite company. Only Wayne and Mario and his teammate Leon who did it 4 games faster. Let's hear now from Oilers defenseman Darnell Nurse.
Yeah, they just upped their urgency a little harder in the net front, and we're jumping into plays and making it count when they got opportunities. So they had a push there at the beginning of the second period, and our response just took a little too long, and they were able to get the lead.
How do you explain that at this time of year, Darnell, the 13-0 on the shot clock, them pushing so hard and you guys not having a response?
It's hockey. It happens. Teams have pushes. Teams respond. Found our way to get ourselves to the third period in a tie game, so our response wasn't non-existent. It was there.
Darnell, you didn't give up much at all off the rush in the first 2 games. Tonight a lot more. Connor talked about how they stretched it out a bit and you guys seem to get disconnected. How do you, if they want to play the stretch game, what do you have to do to ensure that you're not disconnected?
Yeah, it comes down to just beating guys back to our zone. And then when they do make that play, they have to come through numbers. We didn't make them come through numbers enough when they stretched the zone on us. They're a good offensive team. They obviously play that way and have success doing it. So for us, we just got to make sure that when they're stretching us out like that, we are in between them and the net and make it difficult.
Is it? I mean, it sounds like it's fairly tactical in terms of their changes, but is it battle level? Is it compete level when it gets that far away from you guys at that point?
I mean, it's a combination of everything. I think. It's just finding a shift to grab it back, and it could just be a simple shift, getting the puck in and grinding down a little bit. And we didn't, like I said, we found it later in the second period there, and we're able to tie up the game and go into the tie game there in the third period. And it's we just got to grab it a little quicker.
Kind of similar to last game in the third period, tight check and not a lot of chances, but they find one both times and you guys don't. Frustrated at all, and what do you think you need to do to find one?
Just keep playing. This time of the year, there's balances, and you gotta give yourself the opportunity as much as possible. And when the games are tight, we've been in a lot of tight checking games here in the last 2 weeks. So when you just gotta give yourself the most amount of chances possible, and one will go in.
You seemingly have lost games like this game, Vancouver game in Game 1. We're able to overcome it. Is that something you can maybe draw on a little bit as you try to reach back to Game 4 here?
Yeah, 100%. That's what playoffs is about. All the experience that you build up over the course of the season. So we have some fairly fresh. Fairly fresh stuff to draw back on, and for us, we just come out and have a good Game 4.
Adam Henrique scores in his return. Here he is.
Good. Certainly nice to be back, excited, all those sorts of things. Felt good physically, so it, just kind of allowed me to just go out and play.
Does it take a while to find the game legs, or did you feel good?
No, I felt pretty good. But you're kind of mindful of those sorts of things going into the game. Simplify quick shifts early on, get yourself into the game, and then you just kind of everything else is from there. You kind of black out and just go play.
What happened between the first and second for you guys? They really had a push.
Yeah, they pushed and we didn't. That's it. They did it. Teams are going to push like that. It's a good team over there. We just have to find a way to calm it down and get back to our game.
I understand why teams push when they're down. What's the response there, do you feel, from your group? Or why did it take a little while to get that response?
I don't know. We just got to find a way to get, those shifts after goals against are always big and important to just simplify and go right back at them, establish our game again. The first period was a great period, I thought. Played fast, played our game, forecheck. We're making plays, and then that first 10 minutes of the second, we got away from that, and they had their foot on the gas.
Third period, was a tip in Game 2, a bad bounce in here. Do you feel like the third period you guys were doing what you want to do and just got beat by?
Yeah, going into the third, we're tied. It's a tight game. There's the shots aren't crazy high. It's tight. They do a good job. The middle of the ice, out, all those sorts of things, simplifying, the same that we try to do. So they found a way to get one and we didn't. That was the difference.
Jamie, you talked about the mistake Skinner made, besides that playing a really good game. Is that the difference, that Ottinger doesn't seem to make those mistakes, and it's just so steady game in, game out, including this one?
We haven't seen Ottinger make those mistakes where it's cost them a goal against. Now, to me, I think he's made the saves at the right time. I can think of the glove save on Leon Draisaitl. Now, when you're chasing the game at 2-0, Edmonton had such an amazing start. You need that next save, because you can't let the game get out of reach. There's 97. He gets it with the stick on the back door. In tight, Ottinger is so good. He's 6'5". He covers the ice really well. He fights for sight lines. And Edmonton continued to press and tried to get into his eyes. But Ottinger, he bent, but he did not break. And in this game, he made one extra save other than Stuart Skinner. And that's the difference between winning and losing in the playoffs right now. Ottinger's had it.
So the Oilers find themselves same situation as the Vancouver series, where they lose their first game on home ice. Does that make Game 4 pretty much a must for them, considering their opponent?
Well, I mean, anytime you're going head-to-head against the Dallas Stars, when you've got that kind of speed, every game is critically important. But I think for the Edmonton Oilers, it's about that consistent effort through 60 minutes. And I know that's kind of cliche, but you have to have that killer instinct. You're going to come out with that kind of fire, that kind of, pizzazz on that first period. In particular, McDavid. I mean, we were sitting there watching, going, it is unbelievable what he was doing out there. So you got to find a way to step on the jugular and get that third goal, as you mentioned, Noodles, because you know that this is a team that can get back in the game at any time.
Let's hear from Oilers goaltender Stuart Skinner.
Stu, if you can, maybe just take us through what you saw there on that fourth goal.
Yeah, fourth one, I'm not too sure whose stick broke, but shot got through. We had it. We weren't able to get it out, and then they just took advantage. There were two guys at the net, really quick 2-on-1. So I made the read to get out, and thought he was going to shoot 5 holes, so I went down. He got me to bite, went around and banked it off me. I'd have to watch it back to see exactly how it happened, but I tried my best in the quickness of the situation, and Robertson was able to make a pretty good play, but something that I got to save.
In that situation, when you're going back, ideally, do you want your skate inside the post to try to seal the pad off against the post?
Yeah, it depends. Each goalie plays it fairly differently. For myself, being in an overlap there, especially as he's a lefty, so maybe next time I'll just play it a little bit more patiently.
It's a pretty big shift in that game in the second period. What did you kind of see in front of you? I know you were doing what you could in there, but
yeah, it was a little bit frustrating, just because you knew that they were going to push back. These guys obviously want to make it to the finals. And obviously we do as well, but I think that we just let off the gas a little bit, and then when they started rolling, they just kept rolling. And then once they got momentum, we kind of just, I think as a whole unit, we were just watching them kind of do their thing, and once we started playing again, we got right back into it. But I think we allowed them to kind of do what they wanted for majority of the second period.
how does that happen this time of year, Stuart?
I'm not too sure. Sometimes it happens this time of season, this time of year, and the faster you learn it, the better of an outcome that will happen in the future. So it's a good lesson learned by all of us, and just make sure that no matter what the score is, especially being in the third round, you know that the teams are just gonna let you play and win, and we definitely learned that today.
Stuart, there seems like there were some things that were reminiscent of the Vegas series, just in the way that the team, kind of capitalized and kept the pedal down. Did you feel that, and how do you stop that from happening?
I did not feel that. That's a long time ago. So don't mean to be rude, but that has nothing to do with what happened today. We have a completely different team. And I think that, honestly, even though that it did happen, we stayed with it. We were able to get that third goal and tie it up 3-3. So you're going into the third period as a 0-0 game. Then it was a minimized mistake, and that cost us the game. So we are, if you think about it that way, it shows us great resiliency, great bounce back, and I think that's a really good look for our team.
You talked about save on March, like you kept it from going 4-2. Can you just give us a read on that?
Yeah, obviously really happy I was able to make that save. I think in that timing it was a crucial save. I think if they get that one, obviously puts us in a much more difficult situation. So he made a really nice move. I was able to stay a little bit patient and got a solid piece of the puck and got into the mesh, and I was pretty happy going back to the bench after that save, and gave us a little bit of momentum, and I think after that we started rolling.
I know you said you felt like you needed that fourth one, but there were some big saves in that game for you too. What's your main takeaway from this night for yourself?
Yeah, for myself, I think that obviously the fourth goal, it looks bad, but I think overall I played a pretty solid game. There's some lessons for me to learn, and I think overall I just got to, if you look at it just as anybody, you just can't be letting in 4 goals, especially against the Dallas Stars, how good they are defensively, and they can just stymie you defensively. So the main thing is I just can't be letting in that many goals.
How good is that?
I like
Tell
it.
you what,
I like it.
A lot of respect for a blunt assessment of the game, of that play. Said he tried his best, but if he had to do it again, obviously he was not in the position that he wanted to be.
He said he bid on it. It was a quick play. He tried to get out a little bit. They question how he seals the post with the right skate. A lot of goaltenders do it differently. Robertson, you have to give him credit as well, because he made a fantastic read on the play. But Stuart Skinner, that's a mature comment. He just said, hey, I need to be better.
When he's saying patience there, what does he mean?
Well, so you see he came off and he twisted there. So he talked about an overlap. That's the overlap. And then you see the right skate is off the post. Some goaltenders go skate inside, skate outside. That one's kind of on the post. There's a little space there. And that's where Robertson's able to jam that in short side.
And from a defensive perspective, if you look at Nurse, he's kind of taking away that pass as
gone,
well.
yeah.
So, he's down. So the pass is actually gone. So as a goaltender, Noodles, are you looking at that in front of you when you're playing that?
That option's gone now. But, it happens so quickly. As Stuart Skinner mentioned, the stick breaks. It's a broken play that comes towards him. He immediately said, I bit on the play. He thought Robertson was going to shoot quickly on the 5-hole. So he goes, I tried to be aggressive to be out, and now I've got to get back to the post and seal it.
Yeah.
Robertson, with the left shot, comes from behind the goal line, banks it off of him. But ultimately, Stuart Skinner says, I can't allow 4 goals.
That's what it was for me.
That's what I liked about it.
100%, because we're going to fixate on the game-winning goal.
Right.
Because it was the game-winning goal, and it was a play that Stuart Skinner will learn from and has to do differently moving forward. But his comment that I can't allow 4 goals in a game this time of year, that's not about 1 goal. That's about an overall performance.
Yeah, we were all sitting here on the panel going, we were nodding our head while we were listening to it going, that's what you want to hear at this time of year. And I like that he said, listen, I thought I had made some good saves as well, because he did. There were some timely saves that he made to keep the game, within 1 as well. So, when you look at it, you got to clean it up a little bit, but I love the accountability piece.
Oh, he's going through it these playoffs. You think about the ups and downs of him getting yanked against Vancouver and how he stated how badly he wanted to get back in there in the elimination game. Plays terrific early on in the series, and comes up and faces the music in this one as the Oilers trail 2-1 to the Dallas Stars. One other issue, no timeouts used, and there was a couple of situations. One, when they were gassed when they got the power play, and power plays have been hard to come by, as they were again in this game. And you could tell Draisaitl and McDavid were gassed. They bought some time there so they could breathe. And then there was another, after Dallas scored the 2 quick goals, did you think there should have been a timeout at one of those points?
I think so. I think so. I mean, it's easy now to second guess, and that's what we do in analyzing. It's no different than the game-winning goal scored against Stu Skinner. We're looking at Stu Skinner and coming up with all the variations as to how he had to seal the post. All right, well, general managers and owners get grumpy when you don't use your timeout, because there are multiple situations over the course of a game where you've got to think about it. No doubt Knobloch was thinking about it. He just didn't utilize it.
And I think a lot of the time, as a coach, you're thinking of the perfect time to be able to use it, right? Well, that time may never come, so you may burn it, right? So you've got to not be afraid to use it, whether it's the first or the second period, depending on that situation, that it could be a game changer for you.
All right, let's hear from the coach, Chris Knobloch with the Edmonton Oilers.
Hey, Chris, over here. Obviously, the turning point in the game was the early on in the second period. Just your thoughts from what you saw of that stretch of the first 10 minutes or so in the second.
Yeah, it was a complete reversal of the first period. I think they really were ready to come out hard and have a good push. And we were just kind of, hopefully, things would just continue sailing the way it had in the first period. Caught us by surprise, and after the one of the TV timeouts, we were able to settle things down and get our game back to where it should have been. But I think we had our start that we needed, but we took our foot off the pedal.
Center left.
Chris, your defense tonight at times, 2 goals specific, where you had possession of the puck, inability to get it out, and led directly to goals. You need better puck movement from your back end at times in your own zone.
Yeah, whether it's better puck movement from our defensemen or better support from our forwards, it's usually just not one or the other, but it's important to get those pucks out and keep them moving into our forwards' hands.
Front right, Josh.
Chris, just in those moments in the first 10 minutes, what does it feel like on the bench? You guys know they're going to come out strong, but they just had the puck for 10 straight minutes, basically. What's the feeling on the bench? How do you get that momentum back?
You just need one strong shift. You need one line to step up and put in a good shift, spend some time in the offensive zone, and just takes one line to do it. And after one line does it, then the next line, it's much easier for them to get some momentum. And fortunately, we were able to stop the damage and tie it up in the second period, and it came down to a 20-minute game. And unfortunately, we could have went either way in that third period, and unfortunately, we came on the wrong end of it.
We'll go back to the fourth row on the left.
Over here, Chris. You changed up your second and third pairing, defensive pairings midway through that game. Just want to get some thoughts on the logic that went into that.
Just we need just like forward change, or we change the forward line sometimes, and defense also. Just things hadn't been going well in the second period. We needed to change some kind of rhythm and flow, and I felt that maybe that was the best way to do it.
Back right, Daniel.
Chris, Stuart Skinner was, fairly critical. He said he can't be allowing 4 goals against a team like Dallas, especially with the way that they defend. I just wondered what you thought of your goaltenders' play, especially, in that second period.
I don't think he had much opportunity in the second period. They had the looks that they had. I don't think there was any bad goals, and he made some key saves when he needed them to. Probably the one that stands out to me is they had all that momentum. I'm not sure if it was right before or right after our third goal. Made that huge breakaway save. That probably a big turning point, and there's always goals that go in. Like it happens, but I like the saves that he made, and he gave us a chance to win it.
Any other questions? We'll go front right to Andrew.
Just looking for your thoughts on Robertson with the individual effort there to take the lead in the third.
Sorry, can you...
The individual effort by Robertson and his whole night, what he did against you guys.
Good hockey player. Dallas has a lot of good hockey players. Yeah, we can't shut them all down. They're going to have their nights.
You guys have Chris.
Yeah, that's very accurate. They have a lot of good hockey players. I don't think we mentioned Wyatt Johnston in our long discussion here, who has his 8th playoff goal. The kid just turned 21 2 weeks ago. Dallas isn't just good now. Dallas is going to be good for a long time. But the Oilers just have to worry about them right now, and they're down 2-1 in the series, and a crucial one on Wednesday in Edmonton.